Welcome to the first ever Coffee Grinder Showdown. Today we have the Breville Smart Grinder Pro on the right, and it's facing up against the OXO Barista Brain. These are both conical Burr grinders. The appeal of them is that they're really convenient in terms of dosing. They're kind of a mid-range level electric grinders, somewhere in between your, say, Barista Encore, Bodum Bistro, Capresso Infinity, and the Rancilio Rocky, or the Barista Preciso or Virtuoso, or even a Lido. So this is the Barista Brain. Its major benefit is that it has this built-in scale right here. You put your canister on the scale and you can weigh out in terms of grams, cups, and you even have a setting for espresso where you can just run the grinder manually. The Breville Smart Grinder Pro does not have a scale, but what it does have is a timer. So you can adjust down to 0.2 seconds how much you want to grind. So it's basically a timer-based doser versus a weight-based doser. Okay, so here's a close-up look of the Barista Brain. Right now it's on the cup setting, indicated by the cup icon. To change it, you just hold down this button right here, and you can cycle to the gram setting. So before you grind, you'll want to make sure that the scale is tiered, and you can select however many grams you want to grind, and then you just press this button here, and it will grind and weigh it on the scale. So once it reaches 6 grams, then the grinder will stop. There's a little bit of latency. I've noticed that 6 grams will translate into 8 grams in reality, sometimes 7 grams. And then lastly, you have your portafilter icon here. So this is just for manual grinding. The cup settings especially convenient if you're using this in conjunction with the Barista Brain auto drip coffee maker. It will grind out however many cups you want, and cups, I believe, are defined as 8 grams. You can adjust that down here actually, so say you want less than 8 grams. Turning it to the left one notch will take it down about 4 grams. Similarly, you can take it up 4 grams or another 4 grams. You just adjust the grind by turning the hopper, and it has a French press icon here, has a drip coffee icon here, and an espresso icon here. So let's take a look inside of the hopper for the Barista Brain. You can detach the hopper. There's a little lever here in the back. Press it down, you turn it this way, unlocks, and it comes up. Actually, will hold your beans because it's got this little valve here that closes. And then here's a look at the Burr, or burrs I should say. It can be taken out for cleaning. Definitely easy to clean and convenient if you want to change out beans. Let's take a look at the Breville Smart Grinder Pro and how the doser works. You can select the number of cups just like you could do with the OXO Barista Brain. However, you can see that the time is basically adjusted. You can program this time to say be shorter or longer. The grind size, I like how it shows you a number. You can just adjust it here. So it's got a really nice interface. It tells you what number associates with the different types of brew methods. This also has a manual option, so if you want to just grind out whatever's in the hopper, you could just extend the amount of time, press start, and then once you hear the hopper's empty, you can just press it again to stop it. There's also a button right there that you can press your portafilter against, and it will just manually run the grinder. So here's a look inside the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. Hopper is easier to remove in my opinion. You just turn this to the left and then lift up. So here's what it looks like inside. It's got this same little bar that you can twist, and it's more clear on how to unlock this. It has a little lock line and a line. Firmly take it out like that. Here's the upper burr. The Breville Smart Grinder Pro grinds at a much finer setting, I found, so it's suitable for espresso. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the accessories, particularly the canisters. This is a UV protected canister that comes with the OXO Barista Brain. It just has this opening here with no kind of airtight seal, whereas the Breville Smart Grinder Pro has this airtight seal, so if you want to lock in your freshly ground coffee, you can do so. Breville Smart Grinder Pro also has this removable tray for easy cleanup. So looking at these two grinders side by side, you can see that the Breville Smart Grinder Pro is a little bit bigger. In my opinion, this, in terms of the dosing, is a smarter design because you should be grinding based off of weight, not off of volume. But with a timer for the grind, it's a volume-based system. So the problem with this is that different beans have different densities. So even if you have, say, 2 cups worth in volume, the weights could be vastly different from bean to bean. So that's why you want to use weight. Having said that, let's see if the timer gives us consistent doses in terms of weight. So here's the test we're going to do. We're going to do a quick 3.8 second grind. I'm going to tear this canister. I'm going to grind the same amount of beans, and then we'll switch beans. So these beans right here look like they have a good amount of density. So interestingly, 3.8 seconds gives us 3.8 grams. And that's on a medium drip setting. Let's try it again. Okay, so this time it gave us 4.2. So you can see that relying on the timer, even with the same beans, isn't going to give us the same weight every time. So now let's try it on a finer setting and see what happens. We want to push the grind time down. Okay, 2.3 grams the first time. 2.7 the second time. 2.4. So if you're making espresso, even 0.1 gram of difference could give you inconsistent results. Is this doser useless? No, but it's not 100% accurate. Let's grind 3 grams of coffee. All right, so it says 3 grams on the Barista Brain. Let's see what it says on my scale. 2.9. All right, not bad. Let's do that again. Okay, so this time it shows 3.8, 3.9. So that's almost a gram more. Let's try a finer setting. Okay, so 2.7 first time. So let's do it one more time. All right, so that time it was 3.6. So really no consistency from either of the grinders. For espresso, this isn't gonna be a good thing to rely on. For drip, it's up to you. I mean, I don't think 1 gram off is gonna make a significant difference, but I know coffee snobs would cry foul. Much more convenient, in my opinion, than the lower end ones that I mentioned earlier. Basically paying a slight premium for these convenient dosing features that aren't 100% accurate. Okay, so for this last segment, I wanted to show you the difference in the grinds in terms of what the consistency is like for each of these. But before I do that, I'm just going to tell you my opinion on which grinders are best for which type of brewing purposes. I really think the Barista Brain is only suitable for drip coffee or for a pressurized espresso. Let me show you what I mean by that real quick. We've got 2 filter baskets here for espresso. Okay, this is a pressurized one. So this is for machines like the OXO Barista Brain. I'm sorry, grinders like the OXO Barista Brain will grind fine enough if you have a pressurized portafilter. Now, a real portafilter basket would be a bottomless one that looks like this. Obviously way more perforations, and this needs a finer grind. The OXO Barista Brain is not good enough for this bottomless portafilter. It is, however, good enough for this pressurized portafilter. And if you want to experiment with both and get the best possible espresso that you can, you're going to A, want to use one of these, and B, invest in a grinder like the Breville Smart Grinder Pro, which can grind fine enough for a bottomless portafilter. They're both good for drip. As far as French press goes, I wouldn't recommend either of these grinders. But if I had to choose, I would go with the OXO Barista Brain because it does a little bit better with the coarser settings. Breville Smart Grinder Pro doesn't come anywhere close to a coarse setting, even though it's more consistent. The reason I wouldn't recommend the OXO Barista Brain though for French press either is because it's just not a really consistent grind. So as I grind out this coffee, I thought I'd let you listen to each of the grinders so you can get a sense for the amount of noise they make. So let's start with the Barista Brain. This is the finest setting. Compare that with the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. Breville Smart Grinder Pro, I don't know if you can tell, but it does get finer. So this is suitable for bottomless portafilters. This is not. Here's our medium setting, the Barista Brain, and this is Breville Smart Grinder Pro. They're both pretty consistent, I'd say. And then this is where you can tell a really major difference. This is the Barista Brain coarsest setting. This is the Breville Smart Grinder Pro, which is obviously more consistent, but not nearly coarse enough for French press. So neither of them are really suitable for French press. Okay, so I hope you didn't get bored to tears during this Coffee Grinder Showdown. I hope this was useful. Let me just give a quick summary. In terms of price, this is the better one. I think it retails around $200, while this one's around $230. In terms of grind consistency, Breville Smart Grinder Pro, more consistent. In terms of versatility, I would also have to give this to the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. Although the OXO Barista Brain does a better job with coarse grinds, like for French press, it's not consistent enough for me to say that this can be used for drip or French press. I think this really can only be used for drip, whereas this can be used for drip and espresso. Noise, Breville Smart Grinder Pro also much quieter. This I find is way too noisy for my taste. Something I didn't mention is that I have found that the Breville Smart Grinder Pro tends to heat up the grinds from time to time, and that's not something you want. In terms of not heating up your coffee, I would give this to the OXO Barista Brain. Convenience, that's another big one here. I think that the Barista Brain, it's tough. They're both really convenient, but I would probably give it to the Barista Brain here because it does have the built-in scale, and I do like that feature over, say, a timer doser. In terms of which is easier to use though, I would say that the Breville Smart Grinder Pro is easier to use. In terms of looks, given this sleeker size, I'm gonna go with OXO Barista Brain. If you have any other questions about kind of which wins where, then feel free to ask me. But the long and short of it is, if you're somebody who's looking for a convenient way to make drip coffee and don't want to spend more than $200, then definitely go with the Barista Brain. And if you're somebody who wants to make some legit espresso, this is going to be one of your best buys. This is the first iteration of the Coffee Grinder Showdown, and I hope it was helpful. If you did find it helpful, please subscribe, share, like, and or leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.